You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
We're live on YouTube. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app, and we're live on Instagram. And it's kind of relevant to what we're going to talk about now as Marsha Collier joins us in studio on this Tech Thursday. And we're going to have this big reveal of Marsha, because I hear from people all the time now who watch our YouTube channels like, we got to see Marsha and the beautiful red hair. So Marsha Collier, welcome. It's great to see you and your hair.
Oh, thank you, Mo. Thank you. My hair does not have its own Twitter account anymore, but it used to.
Somehow I believe that.
In the aughts, yeah. Yes. Somebody put that up, yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's lots of going on in tech this week, and I think it's finally time we face up to the fact of AI.
Do we have to? Is it as inescapable as some people would say? There's certain facets where we can't escape. It's on our phone. It's in, obviously, our computers. It's a lot of these processes that we in the Internet of Things.
You've just mentioned everything we have.
I know. So that answers the question, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no fighting it. But is there a way that we can better use it?
Well, let me just, and I'm going to help with that because I've been playing with it. Because I don't want to tell it too much. I'm very careful with what I say. I stepped in easy. There's a website called BakeSpace. They have an AI bot called BakeBot, which will help you prepare meals based on what you have in your refrigerator. They also will have you...
That's intriguing.
If you need to substitute, I don't cook. But I understand that you can substitute flour for something else, or eggs for oil or something. And they have an AI computer. If you're in a jam and you're cooking something, you want to ask it, what can I substitute? So that's at bakespace.com and very easy.
Let me ask you this. For someone who doesn't understand the subtleties, what's the difference between asking AI and just putting in the search engine? What's the substitute for eggs if you don't have eggs?
Okay, here's the story. First of all, search engines that are specialized, for example, if you have a medical search engine, and you're sick, one that's generally trained can tell you a little bit of everything, but not particularly what you're looking for. So if you want to train a cooking one, and I see the BakeBot right there. Yeah, it's great with the recipe tools and everything. But when you're typing in, like on ChatGPT, which I find not to be as good as some of the others, but it's a good place to start because you're not afraid of it. And talk to it, type like you're talking to somebody.
Conversational language?
Conversational language. Make believe it's a person.
That's okay. We'll wait. It happens to the best of us. But as you were saying, Marsha Collier, you want to talk to it as if we're having a casual conversation, and we're not trying to make it too sophisticated, too stilted. But what difference does that make?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you need it to make a decision.
Okay.
You ask it, I have to make a decision about fill in the blank. What are the choices that I need, and weigh the choices I have as to which will give me the better benefit.
Okay.
So that's important. If you're overwhelmed with your day, you have too much stuff scheduled. Say, I'm overwhelmed. I can't make it through my day. I have to accomplish this, and this. And then, hopefully, it will give you exactly how it works. Now, I find that ChatGPT is a little more commercially oriented, and not in a good way. For example, when I do my podcast, I try to come up with a good title. Titles are really hard in podcasts. You can make your show notes, but the title, it's often difficult. So I will go to ChatGPT and I'll say, can you please, and I even say, please, give me a podcast episode title for these show notes. And ChatGPT always comes up with these hokey, clickbaity things.
But when you say these show notes, how are you inputting that information in the ChatGPT? You're just typing it all in.
Yeah, I mean, you could be talking it if you're using your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could do that. But I found that it doesn't do a great job for that, for me. I honestly find, as difficult as X is to deal with, that Grok is a lot better and a lot more personal and gives you better answers. If you're having a conversation and you don't understand how that other person is going to react, literally you type in, I have to have a conversation with Mo. We're talking about fill in the blank. Mo Kelly. You know, I'll put in your full name. So that way it may pick up information that's already in the AI about you. And, you know, it might come back and say, well, don't you think you should do this? Because that just might piss off Mo Kelly.
But then how beholden do you think people are to the suggestions as we get ready to go to break, to the suggestions, the recommendations? Because it's almost like, yeah, they could put it out there, but there's no level of responsibility for the accuracy.
Exactly. And AI wants to answer no matter what, and it's going to give you an answer. Whether it's right or not is a different story. And you also have to consider, when I just told you I have to have a discussion with Mo Kelly, now the AI knows that I know Mo Kelly and that I have to have a discussion with him. So you see, I've just fed information into the AI. So it will help you. You're having problems in a relationship. It will help you. Just write like you're writing to a friend.
AI, the love doctor.
Yeah, it's there.
Well, I know that AI plays a role in online therapy already.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but college students are using it as life coaches.
That just confounds me.
Well, like helping them make decisions, you know, and you can ask the AI to ask you questions. And these are universal things you can do over all the different AIs and test them out, like Gemini from Google or whatever, and realize which one is going to give you the best answers in the end. That's it. And ChatGPT is just easy to practice with because it's simple to use. You don't have to go anywhere fancy. You just go to chatgpt.ai and that's it.
Well, I guess I'll try it out. I admit I'm always slow on the uptick, if only because I'm not a quick adopter of technology. I want other people to be the guinea pigs. I want them to be the beta testers.
Me too.
And then I'll jump into the pool.
Me too. But I did it myself, and I've been trying little by little. Mm-hmm. I don't mention any real names, but I'm working on it, and I've found it useful in certain cases. But I think you always have to lean back on the good brain your mother gave you.
When we come back, I know Twala Sharp is going to be thrilled to know the flying car is actually here.
It's here. Come on. Let's hear. Come on, music. Stefan.
We need some sort of like celebratory trumpets or something, trumpet fanfare when we come back. The flying car when we come back. It's later with Mo Kelly. I'm joined in studio by Marsha Collier, KFI AM 640, YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. Marsha Collier joins me in studio as we continue this Tech Thursday. Marsha, there's a rumor going around that the Jetsons are finally here. The flying car is finally here. I grew up with all sorts of sci-fi shows and television shows, movies depicting this advanced future world where a flying car would be commonplace. We haven't quite gotten there, but that might be changing.
That's what they say. But before I go into the details of it, let's do the Mo and Marsha version.
Okay.
Which is, you going to get into that thing?
Oh, hells no. I won't even get into a Waymo. You think I'm going to get into a helicar?
Hell, I mean.
No.
And this needs a runway. They can now, these will only go from airport to airport because.
I don't care if it goes from house to house. I'm not getting in one.
Well, the air car, and it was developed in Slovakia, could ship as early as 2026. Klein Vision is the company. They spent the past 3 decades developing the car, and it's completed over 170 flight hours and more than 500 takeoffs and landings. So,
why don't they just call it a Cessna with wheels or something? It looks like a typical, propeller plane, just with a body of a car as opposed to a cockpit.
Well, this video that I'm sure we're not going to see the whole thing.
No, but you got to go to YouTube to check it out.
When the wings retract and go in, it's kind of interesting. They become part of the body. It's kind of like a transformer.
Looks like Mach 5 from Speed Racer, but that's something different.
But that's real.
Yeah, it looks like a car plane.
Okay, now watch this.
At Mr. Mo Kelly on YouTube, you can see it, how it retracts its wings and then just turns into a conventional car for the most part.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Oh, it is very cool. It's very cool, and I'm not getting into one. I'm not. Supposedly, the top speed is 124 miles per hour on the road and 155 miles per hour in the air, with a maximum flight range of about 1,000 kilometers, which is 620 miles. Yeah. Okay, I guess if you're going to go to Vegas or something, that would seem like it would be conducive to that. Now
you're ready to buy one for the Mo Kelly show, right?
Okay, so what's the price? Is it under 500,000? Do they list a price?
Between 800,000 and $1 million.
Between no and hell no?
Yeah.
I'm not I would rather
no.
I might as well just go ahead and charter my own private jet to Vegas. It's much cheaper, and I would be, I just use it when I need to use it. Because you think about flying car, how many places are you going to fly on a given day or a given week or a given month?
But here let's discuss right here the elephant in the room that they don't even talk about all the time when we talk about flying private airplanes. Is it going to kill you if you're so rich to be in first class on a plane, or do you want to burn all the carbon in the world so that the rest of us can't water our lawns? Because we have to preserve stuff.
Well, I don't give a damn about the environment or global warming. And I know that really irritates Mark, but it's true.
I'm not listening.
But it's true. I'm just saying, I don't know about the utility of a car that flies and can't get you more than maybe to New Mexico or something. You know what I mean?
Well,
where are you going?
You were talking earlier about that flying bus to go to the Olympics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holds 4 people.
Great.
I really don't think that that's a valuable use.
No, I mean,
of carbon.
If you're a billionaire, knock yourself out. You're the coolest guy. You can drive out of your garage. And you can fly to UFC 672.
But then don't lecture the rest of us on our use, because we need air conditioning.
Damn right.
We need heating.
Yes.
Don't tell me that my house has to be 74 degrees at all times.
Preacher.
No, it's true. And I'd believe politicians a little bit more if they stuck to the rules they want to give us.
Wait. You said I would believe politicians more. You give them way more credit than me, because I don't believe politicians at all. So to say that I would believe politicians more is to say that I believe them on some level to begin with.
That's true. But you see, in the olden days, it was different. We had a president that was in a wheelchair.
FDR.
And nobody knew.
Mm-hmm. But, the feasibility of that today with the cameras and the 24-hour news cycle, and I would say But
the point is, he got his job done.
Yeah, and I don't think he would be able to be elected today.
there's that issue too.
I just don't think it'd be possible. That's actually going to be part of my final thoughts tonight about, I think we've gone so far. I know this is a diversion, but I think we've gone so far down the road where nothing matters except for the things that don't matter.
Exactly. And we have to start paying attention. We can laugh at people all we want, but I got to tell you, the food here in this country, when I bring back the same brand food from England, it has 1/4 the ingredients than the American one. It's unbelievable. And I just wanted to
Same brand.
Real quick, if maybe mom or anybody out there got a new smartphone, an Android phone, this is my book. And I think you're going to love it. I know it's Android smartphones for seniors for dummies. But the thing is, I think that it will appeal to you, because who wants to read 380 pages of everything in the world about a phone? You just need to know.
Other than me, but that's just me.
Mo spends hours.
I was on my phone.
Settings.
Yes, right, in settings. Just trying to find something new.
But it's nice and big, nice big type, not large type, but nice and big type. It's in full color, and I think you're really going to like it. So if you want it, it's of course on Amazon and everywhere else, and makes a great gift.
Android. Again, please.
Android smartphones for seniors for dummies.
And they can find you and the book where?
MarshaCollier.com.
Marsha, it's always great to see you. And I know the people in our YouTube chat absolutely love you.
Oh,
and it's understandably so.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yes, if I live.
Well, I'm saying we missed you last week. That's why I got asked.
I know this terrible flu. Anybody else who has it, I hope you're going to get better real soon.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye. It's
Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 Live, everywhere in the iHeartRadio app and on YouTube and on Instagram. And when we come back, we have to talk about Chris Brown. He's back in the news and back in trouble, of course.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI YouTube, iHeartRadio app. And by the way, we've been getting a lot of new listeners on Spotify. Thank you very much. However you find the show, I am all good with it. We had a bunch of users just pop up on Spotify, and our plays and listens on Spotify have really jumped up in the past month or so. So thank you for joining the show as well. And if you've been listening to the show for any time, you know that myself and Tuala Sharp, we're from the music industry. I was working on the label side. He was working on the radio side. And we get to see a lot of these artists, or at least artists back in the day, in a different way than most people did. We got to see the things in a pre-social media sense, which would make news now, but it was kind of understood back then. There are a lot of things you see, you don't speak about. You may know, but you don't talk about. And when I saw this story about Chris Brown being arrested in England on charges related to a nightclub bottle attack back in 2023, it reminded me of my time in the industry, because we would see artists do stuff that we knew was criminal or could be violent, and oftentimes it was just covered up. But now with social media, now with cameras everywhere, it makes it much more difficult for people to get away with things. I would bet dollars to donuts, having nothing to do with the specifics of this particular incident with Chris Brown. For as many times as he's been in trouble for violent reasons, there are probably 10 other incidents to tie it all together, which have probably happened, that just did not make it to the press. And the people around him were just good enough to protect him from himself.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chris Brown consistently finds himself in trouble, be it for things that he has done, but oftentimes, artists like Chris Brown who choose to associate themselves with folks from the street. They want to keep it 100, and they want to stay in the hood, as the kids say.
But he's not from the hood. He's like me trying to claim a gang. It's like, look, I know gang members. they know me, but I'm not in any way associated. It's not like I could claim, Harbor City Payback Crips or something.
Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. No disrespect to the Harbor City Payback Crips. But
I know, because I was basically clowning them. It was like,
I know.
Who's Harbor City Payback Crips? But they were a thing back then.
Yeah, it's just, just let's not get any payback. Look, to me, it's interesting because there was a point in time when the image and the notion of who could be a gangster and gangster rap. And it's interesting to me because there are so many articles and award categories and everything that has to do with rap. And it always, for some reason, has Chris Brown tied to it. I'm like, Chris Brown is a singer, but it's because of his affiliations. Is it because of what he does that he's always affiliated and associated with rap?
Well, let's be clear, because someone may not know. Chris Brown has publicly associated himself with the Bloods gang.
He has. That is no secret, and that is what he does. But because of that, when you go to places where you are the star, you are the celebrity, you are Chris Brown, you've got to show this, that, and the other. When you've got your entourage with you, and your entourage, they are not, on stage with you. They're rolling with you. They're heavy. They look deep. They're mean mugging in the background, making sure no one wants to run up. What ends up happening is you go into a club in the UK, and next thing you know, someone says something, maybe someone says something smart alecky, and it doesn't have to be Chris Brown that does anything.
No,
someone in his entourage does something, and that's what I see oftentimes. I see entourages who engage and act on the behest of the person that they're rolling with to get their 5 minutes, to get their shine, and then next thing you know, it's Chris Brown arrested. When Chris Brown may be like, I did not even have a drink. I didn't have anything in my hands. I didn't do anything that night. I was just there. But because of affiliation, this is what happens.
Part of the problem is, in the industry, and I'm quite sure it's an issue now, you have these hangers on, the entourage, the people who don't do anything except drain the artist. Now, supposedly they may be there for security because, people, yes, if you are an artist, you are a star, you are also a target, because people will try to test you or get you in a situation because you have money. So I'm not blaming everything on Chris Brown, but there's clearly an unresolved issue with Chris Brown and his anger or his decision making, where he could not extricate himself or not avoid these situations because they keep happening year after year after year.
I think it's the latter. I know a lot of people who are within the entourage, within the camp, and they say after Chris Brown had kids, that really changed his personality. Like, he's not out hanging out as much as he used. He used to be out all night in the street. Now it's like, hey, I got to get home because I got to get up in the morning. I got to get my kids to school. Kids will change you. I don't care how tough you are. Kids will change you. And that is from all accounts, what I've heard is happening with Chris Brown. And a lot of people say, it's just too bad he still got all these extracurricular folks hanging out with him.
Let me give some specifics before we go to break. Back in October 2023, this music producer named Amadou Diallo filed a $16 million lawsuit against Brown. It started as a lawsuit, then it turned into criminal charges. Filed a lawsuit against Brown, accusing him of beating him over the head with a tequila bottle and then ruthlessly stomping on him when they were both at a London nightclub the previous February in 2022. Now, I doubt that there's any way in which Chris Brown was by himself at a nightclub.
That's just
not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Any reality.
No. I don't know who hit this guy or allegedly hit this guy over the head or who stomped him, but I doubt it was a one-on-one situation. And
No, look, it was funny enough. There was this video that went viral a little while ago of Chris Brown walking outside of a club and someone who said something to the accord of, I'm going to check this guy. I'm going to, let him know that I don't believe you're blood hood, this, that, or the other. And Chris Brown just walked right on by this guy, did not stop to acknowledge him at all. Now, his entourage decided to react, right? So it's like a lot of these young stars who are now aware of what happens when they get themselves in trouble. They're doing everything they can to say, let me get from point A to point B. I'm trying to get to where. If Chris Brown's in a nightclub, especially not in his hometown, he's got large security guards with him. Yep. He is a target, and he is not rolling without two gigantic security guards with him. So you're saying that Chris Brown left his security, was just up in his nightclub by himself, had a confrontation with you, and decided to go and get the tequila bottle and just start beating you with it, and then he stopped you? That's like one of those, like, come on, man, stop it.
But since you have a preceding history of violence, you know, it opens the door for this stuff to be believable.
Yeah.
When we come back, we got to talk about everything old is new again. Netflix is rebooting Star Search, and it's going to be a live TV show twice a week on Netflix. Is it going to be a thing? Is it going to be successful? We'll talk about it next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, iHeartRadio app, and also Instagram. Let's talk about Star Search. You might not be old enough to remember. Let's say you weren't. But Star Search back in 1983 was a big damn deal. It was a big deal because it was a ratings behemoth. It was a big deal because it turned I would just say regular folks into actual stars, people who were up and comers, who didn't have any level of notoriety, and they went on to be huge stars. I'm talking about people like LeAnn Rimes, Dave Chappelle, Beyonce when she was performing as part of this group Girl Time, and that's on our YouTube screen right now. Justin Timberlake, Martin Lawrence, Drew Carey, Sinbad, Kevin James, Ray Romano, Rosie O'Donnell, Alanis Morissette, just to name a few, and I do mean a few. There are many more. They became stars in large part because of Star Search. And this was 1983. This was before the reality television revolution. And because of that, now we can look around and we say, well, there's American Idol, there's The Voice, there's America's Got Talent, there's X Factor, there's America's Next Top Model, Master Chef, Dancing with the Stars, all that. And very few nobodies turn into somebodies because of the shows. That's the real difference. Star Search lived up to its name. People became legitimate stars after having appeared on Star Search. Now they're trying to bring it back. And it's going to be Netflix. Netflix is going to have it as an actual live show that you'll be able to see twice per week. And they'll have contestants in music, dance, variety, comedy, and kids categories. And if you go to the Netflix site right now, there is a listing for it. If you think you have a little bit of talent, you can sign up right now for consideration to be a part of the show. It doesn't list a date in which it's going to first air. I'm thinking probably early 2026. I'm just guessing. If you know anything about television production, I doubt they'll debut it in September. Well, maybe they might, but I'm thinking 2026. But you can. The question is, would there still be any appetite for another reality TV success stardom show? Because I'm old enough to remember Star Search. Most of the people here, I know that Stefan probably not. You were like, what, 4?
I don't think I was around.
When were you born?
88.
No, you were around. You were just 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to appreciate it.
Again, I know about it, but it wasn't part of my...
Yeah, Mark was like 26, 27 at the time, so I know he remembers it.
All right, just back off. I interviewed Ed McMahon, though.
I'm jealous.
Not long before he passed. But we mostly talked about him being Johnny's second banana and things like that.
He didn't like that, did he?
He had come to terms with that. He was completely, he
didn't like the questions about it.
There are worse things in life than to be Johnny's backup man. But it only makes me miss shows like The Gong Show, because all these shows like, what's the one now? Idol, that's been on forever.
American Idol. Now, I know Stephen knows nothing about The Gong Show, Chuck Barris.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell him about
comic.
it. Yeah. at least the Gong Show had a sense of humor, and the people were there, and they knew they might get screwed with a little bit. I find the talent shows now somewhat mean-spirited, but the Gong Show, everybody was having fun. And yeah, they had ridiculous acts like Gene the Dancing Machine, who were sort of regular features, the unknown comic, who actually became
he became sort of famous.
He became a minor star. And in fact, not long ago, I watched a movie with him as the star on Tubi, believe it or not. But that was fun. Some of these talent shows are just joyless.
They're joyless because the show knows that they're not actually making a star, and they're mocking the contestants. The Gong Show, everybody was in on the joke. None of y'all had talent. Y'all sucked. And that was the difference.
Except for the twins who had the popsicles.
Yes.
And the most suggestive thing ever put on television, but which somehow wasn't fully dirty.
Go ahead,
after like 2 or 3 seasons of American Idol, you kind of got it. So it's like, all right, you know.
And no one was becoming a huge star.
You got one.
Carrie Underwood.
Kelly Clarkson. And Clay.
And Clay didn't even win.
Exactly.
Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson. And she didn't win either.
Nope.
She was like 8th. But
right.
Anyway, part of the fun was seeing people that thought they had so much talent and couldn't sing, and now because of political correctness, they got rid of that. Now they only have the people that actually have a little bit of talent.
Yeah, we were laughing at William Hung. We were not laughing with him.
No, absolutely not.
No, we were not laughing with him.
And he got a record deal.
Sure did. Now, he profited off it, but let's be clear. He thought he could sing.
Exactly.
He could not. And the world was laughing at him, and I think in part took pity on him, and then he parlayed that into some level of success. Okay? He was tone deaf. He couldn't dance, and he was a one-trick pony with She Bangs. Double entendre.
Yeah. Moving on. These shows just seem to me like karaoke, because how many of the people who get up there and perform are actual artists who created their own music? I don't care about karaoke.
Yeah, and this is about people wanting to be on TV, and they get their chance to be on national TV. I get all that. But these shows are not really farming star talent anymore. There are only so many actual idols out there.
All right, let's go.
All right. Talk to me, tell me your name. You blow me off like it's all the same. You lit it fierce and I'm taking away like a bomb. Yeah, baby. Talk to me, tell me your sign. You switching sides like a Gemini. You playing games and now you're hitting my heart like a drum. Yeah, baby. Well, if Lady Luck gets on my side, we're gonna rock this town alive. I'll let her rough me up till she knocks me out. She walks like she talks and she talks like she
Everybody.
walks.
She bangs! She bangs!
Oh, baby, when she moves, she moves. I go crazy cause she looks like a fly, but she stings like a bee. Like every girl
Okay, I think we got it.
history.
Does that slap, Mo?
No, it does not slap.
It doesn't slap?
But there's something else. I know we got to go to break, but there's something else about William Hung I think rubbed people the wrong way. And I want to say this as delicately as possible. It was his overbite. I think it was his ethnicity. I think all of that put together in a package made it easier for America to laugh at him. And it was mean-spirited. Yes, he profited, but it was still mean-spirited. And that's part of the reason why you don't see that anymore.
I hate it when we agree.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
We go through all the that's going on so that we can tell you just the you need to know.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere.